Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into Charlie Munger's take on stock picking. Specifically, we're looking at a talk where he really emphasized worldly wisdom as the bedrock. Our goal here is pretty straightforward. Extract Munger's key advice for selecting stocks successfully.
Yeah, and what's really interesting right off the bat is Munger's core idea. You can't be great at stock picking without, well, understanding the world more broadly first. He called it grandma's rule, eat your carrots, the general knowledge, before you get the dessert, the investment success. It's all about having this lattice work of theory in your head to actually make sense of facts, not just collect them.
Okay, so this lattice work, Munger's point is you need models from lots of different fields, right? Not just finance. He warns about that old saying, to the man with only a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You distort reality if you only have one way of looking at things. But he also said you don't need everything. Maybe 80 or 90 key models do most of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. And the essential ones start, maybe unsurprisingly, with mathematics. It's not just basic math and compounding, though that's vital. He really stresses understanding permutations and combinations, the Pascal-Fermat stuff. He argued that reflects how probability actually works in the real world. Our brains aren't naturally wired for it. It's like learning a golf swing, he said. You have to consciously learn and use probability.
So like decision trees, that kind of practical application.
Precisely. Using basic high school algebra to map out potential outcomes. Very practical.
Okay, next up, accounting. The language of business, as he calls it?
It's essential. Absolutely. You have to understand it. But crucially, you also need to know its limits. A lot of it involves educated guesses, like how long will this factory really last?
Right. Like that anecdote about Karl Braun creating his own super detailed accounting for oil refineries.
Yeah, that perfectly shows both its importance and the fact that it's still built on assumptions.
And then there's psychology. Munger seemed really big on this one.
Oh, hugely important. Understanding human misjudgment, all those mental shortcuts and biases that, trip us up. Pascal said the human mind is both the glory and the shame of the universe.
Yeah.
Munger really leaned into understanding the shame part for investing. He talked about a two-track analysis. You look at the rational facts, sure, but also the subconscious psychological forces at work.
And he thought this was teachable, these biases.
Yes, absolutely. He figured there were maybe 20 or so core principles of misjudgment you could learn and apply. Think about Pavlovian association, how people just don't want to hear bad news, even if it's true.
Like the story about Paley at CBS, not wanting negative reports.
Exactly. That kind of thing directly impacts business decisions and investment outcomes.
Okay, and the last big area was microeconomics.
Right. Thinking about the market like an ecosystem. Companies finding niches, dealing with competition. He spent a lot of time on advantages of scale. How getting bigger can lower costs, the experience curve. Or how early TV ads helped giants like P&G dominate, or the power of distribution for Coca-Cola, or brand recognition for Wrigley's gum, that sort of thing. Social proof, informational edges.
Scale sounds great then.
Well, yes and no. He also pointed out the downsides. Big companies get bureaucratic. You get turf wars, incentives get messed up. He used AT&T back in the day as an example.
And competition isn't always straightforward either.
Not at all. It's paradoxical. Some markets, maybe like breakfast cereals with strong brands, seem to let multiple players thrive. Others, like airlines after deregulation, just became brutally competitive, destroying value and technology. It doesn't always help the business. Buffett learned that with the textile looms.
The savings just get passed to the customer in commodity businesses.
Often, yes. Then there's competitive destruction, how new technologies wipe out old ones. You need to be like a surfer, catching the right wave early. Think National Cash Register's history.
Which all leads to his idea of a circle of competence, right? Know what you know and stick to it.
Exactly. Know your limits. Play where you have an edge. Like the plumber in Bemidji he mentioned, knows his local market inside out.
Okay, so how does this all translate directly into picking stocks? He sort of accepts the efficient market theory.
Roughly, yes. Roughly right, he'd say. The market is mostly efficient, but not perfectly. There are gaps, inefficiencies. He liked the analogy of the pari-mutuel system at the racetrack. The odds mostly reflect the true chances, making it hard to beat consistently.
But not impossible.
Not impossible, especially in the stock market where transaction costs are lower than at the track. Shrewd people can find mispriced bets.
And the key is how you bet.
Yes. Bet very seldom. But when you do find a great opportunity where the odds are heavily in your favor, bet big. It's like Warren Buffett's 20-slot punch card idea. Imagine you only have 20 investment decisions your entire life. You'd be very careful, very selective.
That contrasts sharply with how many investment managers operate.
Totally. There's a conflict of interest. Managers often get paid to trade, to do something, but the investor often benefits most from just holding patiently. Understanding incentives is just critical. Remember the Federal Express example he used, getting packages sorted by focusing incentives correctly.
So forget trying to time sectors, that sector rotation stuff.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan. He looked back at Ben Graham, the father of value investing, buying stocks for way less than their intrinsic value, using Mr. Market as your guide. But Munger also said, look, the world's changed since Graham. You can't just rely on buying cheap statistical bargains anymore, not like you used to.
So Berkshire evolved beyond classic Graham.
Absolutely. They started recognizing that sometimes paying a fair price, or even what looked like a high price based on book value, for a truly great business with momentum and fantastic management was the way to go. He explicitly said most of Berkshire's billions came not from Graham's cigar butts, but from buying and holding wonderful businesses.
Okay, so the real lesson is buy quality. The business results drive the stock results long term.
That's the core of it. Now, finding these great companies, that's the trick. Finding them small is tough for big funds. Finding them when they're already big means lots of competition. And management matters hugely. He'd contrast Jack Welch at GE with Westinghouse back then. Massive difference.
But business quality first, then management.
That was his view. Bet on the business quality primarily.
And he also stressed holding long term to minimize taxes.
A massive, often underestimated advantage. Let compounding work without the tax drag. He cautioned against letting the tax tail wag the investment dog, though.
But don't overpay even for the best companies. The nifty 50 lesson.
Right. Price matters. Even a wonderful business bought at a silly price can be a poor investment. Though he did mention the ultimate no-brainer, finding a great company with huge untapped pricing power. Disney raising park prices was his example.
And sometimes you find underpricing or situations where you can fix a troubled but good core business, like Geico.
Yes, the cancer surgery model, he called it. Cut out the bad parts, save the good core.
It sounds like overall he felt the investment management industry faces a tough challenge in actually adding value after fees.
A very tough challenge. He thought very few managers could consistently outperform. The ones who might have a chance are those with the discipline to be highly selective, concentrate their capital on their best ideas, and essentially call their shots carefully, like that 20-slot punch card.
So, wrapping it up, Munger's philosophy really boils down to this. You need broad worldly wisdom first. Then you apply that with discipline. Identify truly high-quality businesses when they happen to be mispriced, which is rare. Bet significantly, and then hold on for the long term.
That's a great summary. And it really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? How could applying these ideas, that broad knowledge base, that intense selectivity, change your own approach to investing?
Definitely something to think about. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon to stay updated on the Indian stock market.